What's going on, pre-chiro students? It's Dr. Ben Glass. I'm a chiropractor, and I'm here to just introduce you to another chiropractor, Dr. Ryan Bones. We're going to just have a conversation and hopefully shine a light on some things that you might want to become aware of if you're going to become a chiropractor one day. And if you haven't thought of becoming a chiropractor, we might also introduce you to a larger perspective of what chiropractic can offer you. So, Dr. Ryan, can you just get us started by introducing yourself, sharing a little bit about your background and what brought you to chiropractic?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on, first and foremost. My name is Dr. Ryan Bones, as he said. I practice in Beyond Bones Chiropractic in beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I am not originally from Idaho. I'm originally from near Sioux Falls, South Dakota, so the middle of absolutely nowhere, but grew up on a farm and ranch with my family there, but determined kind of from an early age that honestly, sitting in a tractor was not going to be for me for the rest of my life. And so I fell in love with chiropractic very, very early. I actually played basketball growing up my entire life. And when I was in about fifth grade or so, I took a pretty hard charge. Yes, actually, some fifth graders do take charges. I was like that one weirdo kid that did that. I didn't get a lot called, but I got that one. And it hurt my low back and I could barely walk. And so thankfully, my tiny town of 1,000 people had a great chiropractor who my older sisters who played sports and my parents all went to. And so they took me to Dr. John Shequin in Parker, South Dakota, and he got me fixed right up. And it blew my mind how I could walk in there with such incredible pain and not be able to do the things I wanted to do with my life and be able to walk out feeling better than I had ever felt before. And it just completely changed my idea of what a doctor could be. And so I started going really regularly, started basically just keeping fine tune ups all the way through school. It made a big difference for me for sports. And it really opened my eyes to what that career could be.
Mhm.
Because I knew at a pretty young age that I kind of wanted to be a doctor. I think I wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't know exactly what type of doctor I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I didn't want to just give them a pill. I knew that I didn't want to be cutting open unconscious people because I love people and I wanted to be able to talk to them and build relationships with them and grow with them and their families, and not have it just be like a once a year thing. I wanted to see people regularly and feel like a part of their life.
Mhm.
And as I saw that happening for me with my chiropractor, it just clicked. And then plus, when I realized that I hate working for people and that I wanted to be my own person, my own boss, my own business owner, set my own hours, um, I saw that that's what he was doing. And I was like, man, this makes so much sense. And so
Mhm.
it just clicked for me as about a like 13, 12, 13, 14-year-old kid that I was like, this is the coolest job ever. I absolutely love this. And I never looked back from there. Went to
Mhm.
University of Nebraska, got my biological sciences degree, and then went to Parker University in Dallas, Texas to get my doctorate of chiropractic, and then moved right up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho to start my practice.
Mhm. Can you talk about some of the subtleties of deciding on which school to go to? And maybe you have an expanded perspective now, having been in the profession and being involved in the profession. Can you reflect on where you were at before you even got to chiropractic school and what your mindset was, why you chose Parker, and reflecting back, like what are some things that you could have asked yourself that maybe you weren't asking yourself that might have made your decision a little more informed or a little bit more clear?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a great question because the schools are drastically different in their philosophy, in the techniques that they teach, in honestly the entire mindset around the profession that they have. And so while you can be successful no matter what chiropractic school you go to, there's definitely a certain way that the water's flowing at each school, and it will probably affect where you come out on the spectrum of chiropractic. And so for me, when I was in undergrad at Nebraska, I had the great opportunity to work as a practice manager for Dr. Pete Wavers at Lincoln Chiropractic Center. And he helped me pick my school because I was with him for about 3.5 years. And he said, listen, this is not where I went, but if I was going to go back to school today, I'd go to Parker. And so I was okay. So that was a good recommendation for me. So I went and checked out Dallas, went and checked out Parker. I thought this is great. I, being in chiropractic for a while in my life, had also heard of Palmer. That's where Dr. Sheikman from my hometown went. And so I thought, I'm going to look into that too. And I went and checked out Palmer in Davenport, Iowa. And I liked that as well. So really then it came down for me to where I wanted to live. Growing up in South Dakota, going to undergrad in Nebraska, I figured I didn't want to complete the trifecta and then go to school in Iowa again. And so I thought, man, I gotta get out. I want to see a new part of the country. And so I ended up going to Parker, which was great. Now, that being said, I will give my unbiased opinion. And that is that if I were to go back to school today, I personally would go to Sherman College of Chiropractic. At the time, for me, it wasn't even on my radar, primarily because it was way out in South Carolina and I was in the Midwest and I just had no connection to it. Now, having traveled to almost not every school, but a majority of the schools, speaking at different schools, being involved with doctors from different schools, I've learned that, like I said before, every school has its own philosophy and opinion on chiropractic and the direction that it's moving chiropractic. I specifically resonate best with Sherman College of Chiropractic's direction. They are, in my opinion, keeping chiropractic, and they are protecting the principles that chiropractic was founded upon. And they're one of the last stands for that in the profession. And so that is why I'm a Regents member. I support them over anybody else. And that's where I send students now.
You bring up a key point there. Why is it important to protect the principles and practices of the original sort of chiropractic intention? And why is that the reason why you would refer somebody to that school specifically? What is so important about the original place that chiropractic was coming from, and where is it at today? And why is it important to remember where it came from?
Okay, great question, Ben. I'm so glad that you asked that. And that is one that I could get on multiple soapboxes about. I will try to get on just one soapbox for this. The reason it's important to protect the principle and the history of chiropractic is to protect the unique identity that we as a profession hold. There's a lot of people that want to try to expand what chiropractic is, and in doing so include things like injections, prescribing rights, every single modality in the book. And what happens is, as that needle moves closer to being everything for everybody, you move farther away from being something for somebody. And you end up actually blending in with the rest of healthcare, which some really, really, I think, crave that inclusivity, and that's what they want. Is they want to be accepted, they want to be a part of this model, they want to get reimbursed for insurance better. But if you become something that already exists, the entire unique identity of the profession suffers. The world doesn't need what it already has in the way that healthcare exists, because we have that. The world needs the unique selling proposition, the unique, interesting, the proprietary information that chiropractic brings to the world, because nobody else does what chiropractic does. Nobody else in the world is trained to detect and correct vertebral subluxation. Nobody else in the world is trained to identify interference in the nervous system caused by vertebral subluxation, that movement in the spine that's not just quite perfect, blocking the ability for the brain to talk to the body and for the intelligence that runs our entire system to be able to communicate with itself. We're the only ones who do that. And so the more that we water down what it is we bring to the table, the more we will be lost as a profession, and the more our mission will be lost. And I'm going to use the example of osteopathic. Osteopaths were, at a time, a very proud and secular profession that had an amazing gift to offer. But if you do a case study on the profession of osteopathic, it slowly basically gave up every single part of its identity in order to be accepted and included as a real doctor and to be able to be included in that traditional healthcare model, and completely lost who they are and what they do. And now they're looked at as just another MD or just another person in that arena. And frankly, I feel like the world lost the gift that osteopathic brought to it the day that happened. And so I for one think it's incredibly important to protect the unique message that chiropractic was based on and founded upon. And so many people think, oh man, just because it's been 100 years, that we need to change things and we need to improve things. And you know what, man? The reason that it's lasted around for 100 years the same way and that there are offices doing it that successful way is because it freaking works. Like
Mhm.
the reason that you change things is if they're not working. But with chiropractic, when done correctly, works miracles. Miracles. It's amazing the things that can happen. And so, why do we want to change something that's working to make it move towards a model that's not working in current American healthcare?
Mhm. Given that it's unique and distinct, can you go deep into exploring some of the resources that are available, some of the training that's involved in becoming a chiropractor, connected to the roots and connected to the core of what chiropractic represents?
Absolutely. There are many different organizations that exist to help what we'll call principled chiropractors and principled chiropractic students. Number one, and primarily, I'm going to make a plug for a fantastic organization called the International Federation of Chiropractors and Organizations, the IFCO. Now, if you look me up, you will realize that I am a little bit biased, being as the vice president of this organization. The reason I am the vice president of the organization is because I believe so firmly in what it does and its mission. And that is to protect the right of chiropractors around the globe to be able to practice principled chiropractic. It is something that is under attack all over the world from all kinds of people who would love to see our profession wither away and die out and become something else. And so we are holding that line as firm as we possibly can to protect that right for chiropractors around the world. And
Mhm.
so definitely get involved. We have student factions of that. We have chiropractor factions of that. And as a student, we have a student club where no matter what school you go to, no matter where you are in the world, you can be a part of the IFCO student club, excuse me, where we have a 12-month rotating curriculum of speakers and doctors coming in, helping to teach you how to be as successful as possible in that principled chiropractic model. We also have other resources for chiropractic students. There is a organization that I helped start because I saw such a need for this. It's called the High Performing Entrepreneur Club, or the club, and that is specifically for chiropractic students who want to be business owners, or at least be an intrapreneur, if not an entrepreneur, to where we teach core business principles to help set them up for success. Because there's so much that you learn in school, so little of it has anything to do with business or the principles of business that lead to success out of school.
Mhm.
Because as much as chiropractic works, if nobody knows that your business exists, can't help anybody. And so we teach on that as well.
Mhm.
Once they're out of school, as a chiropractor, Black Diamond Club is a fantastic resource to help service-based professionals be entrepreneurs. And then there is all kinds of different groups in chiropractic that help refocus on that principle of chiropractic. There's different seminars, different groups, DE, Dynamic Essentials, New Beginnings, Mile High Chiro, the Berkshires. Man, there's all kinds of different organizations and events and groups that help promote that principled chiropractic philosophy as well, to keep that alive within the profession. So I
Mhm.
know that was a lot for students to be like, I'm not writing any of that shit down. I don't know where they are. I
Mhm.
will just say this. You can look me up, find me in any way. If he's going to have links, awesome. Have links. I'm sure he is. You can message me about any of this stuff, and I would be happy to tell you who can help, when they can help, why they can help, or just help lead you guys in the right direction.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm asking you now to put yourself in the shoes of a pre-Chiro student who's starting their own pre-Chiro hub on their college or high school campus. that's going to be a business venture or something that they incorporate or something that they open a business banking account for, and start to actually see it as their first service centered business, where their
Yeah.
aim is to reach out to their fellow students, their guidance counselors, their teachers, and educate
Yeah, I
them
love
about
that.
chiropractic and invite them to come to a pre-chiro hub. Can you kind of give some basic practices or some strategies to the pre-chiro student developer or startup venture, what
Absolutely.
you would do if you were starting a club up on a college campus, and how you would go about connecting it to that inner
Yeah.
ecosystem or
Yeah.
microsystem?
Absolutely. Okay, I was trying to put myself in those shoes, and I went back to college. I'm like, oh man, college. Okay, what would I have done when I was in college if I'm starting a pre-Chiro hub? There's so many things. Um, Number one, first of all, I think that there has been no better time to be starting a pre-Chiro hub, because I feel that more than ever, the generations as they're going into college now, the ones who want to be in healthcare, I feel like more and more than ever, they're recognizing that the current model isn't perfect. And they're recognizing that there is probably a different or better way to do this. And I feel like the younger and younger generations, so I guess your generations, um, they are wanting to find a way to help people without just giving them another pill, without just covering up symptoms. And so, first of all, you're in the right place at the right time. So I'm stoked for you for that. Now, second of all, is how do you reach them? How do you find them? I think there's a lot of students who are in a pre-med program specifically because they were told to be, because they're, well, whether maybe it's their parents told them to be, or maybe it's their guidance counselor told them, because they said, I want to be a doctor. And they said, great, then pre-med, boom. Like that's like, there is no like, oh, what kind of doctor do you want to be? No, it's like pre-med. And so there's a lot of them in that pre-med program, I guarantee it, that are kind of looking at the exit going, man, I don't know, this kind of sucks. I don't really, this is not what I want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those would be, in my opinion, your target market, because you can say, hey, man, you want to be a doctor, you want to help people, but don't want to do it with all the strings and red tape and bullshit. Well, boy, do I have a really, really cool opportunity for you. And so I would reach out to them. I would join all of the pre-med groups, the Facebook. I'm guessing there's pre-med Facebook groups on your campus. I would join those. I would start my own pre-Chiro Facebook group, and I would build that community. You want to think about it as a ladder. So, for example, if you meet somebody at the library and they're like, "Oh man, that's cool. You're starting that pre-Chiro program thing. Bob said you're doing that." And like, yeah, that's really cool. You could say, "Hey, actually, we have a Facebook group, man. We have some really, really good discussions in there about the future of healthcare, about where we're going, and about what it has to offer. It's a free Facebook group. Why don't you join it? It's called, Nebraska Pre-Chiro Hub or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have that very low barrier of entry for them to just be like, all right, well, I can join a Facebook group. Like, that's easy. And so they join the Facebook group. Now they're getting immersed into that small community of like-minded people who are doing something. And now I'd go to the next step of the ladder. I would have an event where you all get together. Maybe you have a chiropractor come in and you speak about it. Wow, that's really cool. It's a free event. The doctor's going to come speak about owning a business maybe 1 month, or maybe the next month it's how to deal with difficult patients, like things that as a potential student you're like, wow, that's really cool, I want to talk about that. You're not like, I'm going to bring in somebody to talk about histology. Fuck that. So
Mm-hmm.
like I want to do something interesting, like let's go. And so then you have these events, and honestly, you know what I bet is, I bet if you did it well and you promoted the crap out of it, that you would probably get some eyeballs from all of the pre-PT, the pre-ortho, pre-everything, because they're like, dude, this guy's got like a whole community of pre-healthcare students who they have monthly speakers, they have a Facebook group, they have cool matching t-shirts, whatever it might be, right?
Yep.
And so build that community, have those events, and then also have opportunities to maybe bring in the schools. Because if I am thinking about as a pre-Chiro student, man, like what should my application look like? What should I be involved in? Like, what makes me a good candidate or not a good candidate? Because I remember that's all I was worried about. I was like, I just want to get accepted to chiropractic school,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I also then, what school should I go to? So bringing in different reps from all the different schools where they could talk about how to apply well, or when to apply, what their
Mm-hmm.
school stands for. Maybe on your community Facebook group, you have a list of all of the schools with their websites, with their maybe a little blurb about who they are and what they do, so that students can get all of those resources and information. And what you want to create is you want to create an incredibly high value in you and the pre-Chiro hub,
Mhm.
because now when you provide that value, they're going to go out and they're going to talk to their other connections and be like, oh man, I'm in this freaking amazing group. And I actually truly feel like I know where I'm going and what I'm doing. Because what's attractive to somebody who is in school? Somebody who knows where they're at and what they're doing and where they're going. Because so many of them don't. And so
Mhm.
they will be drawn to that. So build it, basically feel their dreams, man. Build it and they will come. But start with that low level of entry and build people up. And then you can slowly and slowly build a massive following on your campus, and then be loud about it.
Mhm.
Use the resources at your hand. Maybe it's targeted Facebook ads. Maybe it's your school email system or whatever it might be. Get the freaking word out there, because I guarantee there's a lot of students who would be a perfect fit for your pre-Chiro hub. They just don't know it
Mic drop.
yet.
All
Boom.
right, next part. So they've gone through the foundational material of what chiropractic is, why people become chiropractors, and they've really explored the principles, the practices of chiropractors. Then they've gone and they've taken a deep dive into the skill sets that chiropractors have that they don't necessarily talk about, but that they have and that they express in practice. And then they've gone out into a practice and they've started receiving care. They've had some structured experiences. They've gotten some internship opportunity to like be at the office, maybe at the front desk, maybe in the back observing. And they've had some structured exposures, but also direct experience getting care. And then they've gone and started a pre-Chiro hub on their college campus, felt what it's like to be in a community, speaking about something unfamiliar to that community, but that is attractive. And now they go and they have an opportunity to do a capstone project. It's an independent study, whatever they want to do. What are some ideas that you could give to them that they could go and explore before they go to chiropractic school, so that it really enriches why they're going to chiropractic school, but it also allows them to reflect back on all those experiences and say, wow, my college experience was meaningful. My time spent here on this campus was impactful. It was legacy builder. I'm just looking back and I'm saying, hey, now I want to do this. Is it a research project? Is it a science project? Is it reflecting on the philosophy of chiropractic in a lens that is unique as a pre-Chiro student? What do you think pre-Chiro students could do in their independent studies, or what would you do if you had gone through all that and you hadn't yet arrived at chiropractic school?
That's great. I think you hit two of them. Where my mind went is I would either do a deep dive into the history and the story and the philosophy of chiropractic, and I would talk about how that has changed and how that has remained the same through time. And I would go back, because if you are not familiar with the history of chiropractic, there's some really interesting characters and there's some really interesting stories about kind of how it all came to be and the journey that chiropractors went through. For example, there was a period where chiropractors were being thrown in jail for practicing chiropractic. And so I think, like anything, it's important to keep that history alive. And it's important that people don't forget what their chiropractic ancestors, I guess, went through to make sure that they had the ability to practice and even be a chiropractor. If it were not for the strong chiropractors of history, the profession would have been literally wiped out by the American Medical Association. And so I would encourage a deep dive and a reflection into that, and maybe bringing that story back to life for future pre-chiropractic students. I think that could be an amazing project. And there's a lot of people, a lot of resources who would help with that project, and who are experts in that area. And then my other, I think, option would be a research project, whether that was helping do some sort of research and publication around like the effectiveness of chiropractic, or diving into like the neurophysiology of chiropractic. If you're into nerdy neurophysiology stuff, I think there's so much potential there, because everyone's big knock on chiropractic, right, is that there's no way moving bones of the spine can affect acid reflux or whatever. Bullshit, it absolutely can. And if you understand neurology, you know exactly how it does, and you know exactly how aberrant motion of a vertebral segment, aka a vertebral subluxation, can affect the neurohistology of the nerve roots, which can affect the communication between brain and body. So the only people that I've ever met who like, I don't believe in chiropractic, or chiropractors or quacks or whatever, are ones that literally have never had the neurophysiology explained in a way that they get it. Because as soon as I do, they're like, oh, well, yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense. It does make sense. It absolutely makes sense. And we have a lot of research on, if A, then B, and we have a lot of research on if B, then C, and if C, then D. But bringing it together and doing the if A, then B, then C, then D. There's a great book, Dr. James Chestnut. I think it's the 23 foundational premises for the philosophical and
I got you.
scientific
I got you. It's
validation
called the
of the chiropractic
scientific and
healthcare
philosophical
paradigm.
validation of
Yes,
chiropractic and the wellness paradigm.
yes, yes. Boom, great book. And this is, I think, the closest thing to what I'm trying to say here. So I would say check it out. I love that book, especially as a pre-chiro student. In fact, actually, I was diving into that book and I was like, wow, that was really fascinating, right? So I think doing some research around that, so that you could, if you want to talk about legacy, if you want to equip your pre-chiropractic students in your pre-chiro hub that you created for lasting success, and for, I don't know, let's call it validation, I guess, then you could give them this research packet, or like your capstone project, where it just lays out, this is the physiological research proof behind chiropractic and what it is and what it does. So that every single one of them, if they got the tough parents, they're like, why don't you want to be a real doctor? And be like, actually, look at this incredible neurophysiology research that shows how vertebral subluxation affects the output of the body. This is what I'm going to be doing for people. It's going to be really cool. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. Or to every MD or to every bullshit or whatever along the way. That would be another really, really cool project, if you could just have the mic drop of research articles, or just of research gathered together in one concise place, for people. That would be a really bomb project too.
Mm-hmm. Crucial.
Yeah.
Really, really kicking game to these students right now. I appreciate your energy, your clarity and communication is dope, and you're able to really see what, just like chiropractic is logical, you're able to see exactly what I'm kind of pitching as a potential way to bring pre-chiro students through a process that takes them from A to B to C to D, and allows them to really feel like, wow, there's depth to this. There's a real wide expanse that I can cover and cross before I even get to chiropractic school. If we go to new countries and we're starting a chiropractic school in that country, right? Australia just opened their first vitalistic school.
Scotland,
Brazil next year, Scotland probably next year. These schools need to contextualize the profession to their high school and college students and really bring them through a pathway. So that's what we're working on. That's what we're dealing with here, is that challenge, because it needs to be created. Other professions are pumping millions upon millions into the development of these pathways. So
and that's why we need successful chiropractors. Because I think sometimes in a service-based profession, there is what would be the right word? Kind of a taboo around being wildly successful and making lots of money. It's like, well, if I want to give love and serve the world, well, then I need to basically be broke and give away all my care. First of all, your care has incredible value, and people are absolutely willing to line up to pay for that value. And you should be compensated for that value because of the training and the specificity and the knowledge that you bring, and the opportunity that you give to their life with chiropractic, which is an entirely another conversation that I can have about that. But the point is that we need successful, wealthy chiropractors who have helped lots of people, so that we can give money back to the schools, to our political organization, so that we too, as a profession, can pump lots of money into helping educate pre-chiropractic students, chiropractic students, and help push that message of chiropractic out into the world. Because I promise there are so many people who are desperate for what we as chiropractors have to offer. They just possibly haven't been exposed to us yet or don't know about us yet. And so the more chiropractic students we get, the more chiropractors we have, the more successful chiropractors we have, the more that we can start to create that tipping point where it becomes the norm for somebody to have a chiropractor, just like it's the norm for them to have a dentist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the more education we can do and the more we can get the word out there, the more successful chiropractic students that we can create, the better it's going to be, not just for our profession, but for the entire world.
Appreciate you, brother. Keep it up. We're going to keep talking on this. This is going to be an ongoing dialogue, and really just trying to shape the narrative for the next generation. The beauty of pre-chiro is it hasn't really been created or developed yet. So the opportunity is there to really keep it connected to the roots of chiropractic and to really shine a light on, wow, look at this beautiful profession, the amazing people in it, such as yourself and other people that I've featured here. And let's keep building. It's an honor
Absolutely.
to connect with you, and I look
Likewise.
forward to collaborations with the IFCO in the near future.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing this, because I know there's a lot of people that, sit at home at night and think, man, if only chiropractic had more pre-chiros, had more students interested in it, then we could be better as a profession. Well, good night. And then they go to bed. And so to see somebody taking the initiative to get more students interested in chiropractic, I mean, that's how we create real change in this profession, Doc. So thank you very much for your mission.
Most definitely. Yeah. And can you just talk about some of the involvement you have on these chiropractic campuses? You touched on some of the clubs. You're calling it the club. Can you
Yep.
talk about what I know you said that it touches on some of the foundational business principles to run a successful practice,
Yep.
but what are some of the actual activities that students are going to be doing?
Sure.
Some of the challenges that you're going to be giving to somebody earlier on in their path?
Sure, absolutely. So, yep, the club, or the High Performing Entrepreneur Club, like I said, we have a rotating 12-month curriculum. The way the structure is set up is that it is a private, closed Facebook group. As a new student, or you know what, every single quarter, actually, to all students, we send out a book. So we have a book of the quarter, and then every month we have 2 meetings. First meeting of the month is a Facebook Live within the group with our expert on that topic. So, for example, we had Dr. Sean Dill of the Black Diamond Club talking about vision as a very important aspect of entrepreneurial success. And so that was January, for example. He came on, did about an hour live with our students. I mean, we had the comments rolling, people were asking questions, just diving in. He was giving them everything he had. And then after that live, they get a homework. For example, the homework of that one was a vision sheet where it's got, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, ultimate vision. And it had about 8 different categories, from business to personal to physical to financial to spiritual. And so the homework was to define their vision in basically every aspect of their life for the next like 5 years, because in Dr. Sean's words, you can't get to where you want to go if you have no idea where you're going. And you may know your final destination, but you have to work it back. It's like a train station. If you're in New York City and you need to get to this place and you go in, there's all these trains. Which train do you get on? What stop do you get off at? If you know your vision, you know that actually all your friends might get off at this stop, but you're going to this stop. And so if you do not have that vision defined, you might get off too early with all your friends because that's where they went. You might get on the wrong train. It might take you the opposite direction. And so that vision is so key and so important. So they had a homework. And then the second meeting of the month is in person with people in your area. So for example, the students from your school, and you're partnered with a mentor doc in your area, where you get together and you workshop the homework. You talk about the topic of that month. You can ask questions. You can collaborate with the other students. And what's great about the Facebook group model is that anyone from anywhere, any school can be a part of this organization. And you can collaborate and connect with us and with the other chiropractic students in the group just via the group. Hey guys, I'm really struggling with this. I don't really know what to do about that. Oh man, let me give you this resource. Let me connect you with this person or whatever it might be. Because it's easy as a chiropractic student sometime, or as any student, to feel like you're on an island, and not really know who to reach out to or where to reach out, where to even start. We want to be the bridge to that island. And so that is what the club is all about.
Mm-hmm. And then can we pivot to just kind of reflecting on the IFCO's mission to support students that are interested in becoming principled chiropractors, and the clubs that IFCO has established on different college campuses around the world? What are the
Absolutely.
activities that students are going through? What's the format that students can participate in the IFCO?
Sure. So we historically had clubs at all kinds of different schools, which were doing their own thing. They were isolated a little bit. They were finding their own speakers. They were talking about their own topics. And a lot of them were really struggling. And then came 2020, and that was basically the death blow to the traditional chiropractic campus club, because they couldn't meet in person, or they were in lockdown or whatever it might be. And so really a lot of the clubs suffered. And so we decided in 2021 that we're going to completely remodel the entire program. And so we're actually shifting that to go a little bit more towards the model I just described, where it's a virtual presence, where there is speakers, rotating curriculum, meetups, homework, just like that. And so the model will actually be very, very similar to the club, which we just described, because we've seen it be so successful through 2020 and beyond. And also, we were running into the issue where there was a lot of red tape around IFCO chiropractic clubs, because let's say you're on a campus that is not so philosophically aligned, which there are many. There are many that would like to see the words principled chiropractic be wiped from the earth. And so it's very hard to start a principled chiropractic club on a very anti-principled chiropractic campus. And so we were running into a lot of troubles with that. So now there's no need for that anymore. There's no faculty advisor. There's no anything, because it is a virtual club with an in-person component. It took away all that red tape. So if any student at any university wanted to get involved with philosophy of chiropractic, principled chiropractic, now they have a resource to do that. And a place for them to feel welcome and safe, dare I say, because a lot of times these are conversations and discussions that are not, frankly, supported or not even allowed at some chiropractic schools. And so we want to be a resource, not just for them, but for the other students who are maybe at Sherman, who are surrounded by principled chiropractic students, so that they can have a big community and move towards success in that. Because frankly, success as a principled chiropractor is a little bit different than success as a physical therapy-ish chiropractor, or whatever it might be. There's a lot of different models of chiropractic success. If you're trying to go the principled route, there's just different obstacles that you run into. They have their own obstacles. We have some obstacles. We have different communication and different conversations and challenges. And so that is what we prepare our IFCO students for, is how to be set up for success, not just as a chiropractor, but as a principled chiropractor. How do you communicate that message to your community? How do you build value in the principle that you bring? Because frankly, if you're a truly principled chiropractor, you go to any given town and you're probably going to be one of maybe two or three. Like you will be unique, because there's a lot of run in the mill, dare I say, bullshit chiropractors. There is very few principled, purposed, passionate chiropractors, and that's what we need. And that's what the IFCO Student Club helps to create.
Mm-hmm. And then if we could, just because we're flowing, if we could pivot now to really reflecting on the progress and the growth of the IFCO and the direction that it's heading with the councils and the diplomat programs, can you kind of describe some of where the IFCO is moving in regards to directions, and what those councils serve to accomplish, and what the diplomat programs allow students or docs in practice to pursue in their own right?
Absolutely. If you do not have my man Grant Dennis on here, he will be fantastic at this conversation as well. So I'd highly recommend that. But the IFCO is moving up. That's the direction that we're going. For years, the IFCO has been there as that last guardian of principled chiropractic. But I think just like any organization, it's easy for it to fall into a norm, a routine, I guess, if you will, and have it just kind of be, status quo. And it went through some challenges, some growth, some loss, some ups and downs, just like any organization. And when I was brought on, we were kind of fresh out of a kind of a downtime, if you will, and where the organization was struggling in a few aspects and trying to basically find its identity a little bit. And I feel that with the newest board members, there's really been a focus on specifically, dare I say, like new, young, fresh, excited principled chiropractic faces. And so we have a new, restored, fresh perspective about what we can be doing as an organization to be better and to serve our chiropractic community better. And so we have really been pushing here now in the last 4 months, especially, but all the way back to last year as well. We've been really pushing up to get more involved, have bigger impact, bigger purpose, helping more people, having a better finger on the pulse of chiropractic all over the world. So we've been connecting with state organizations around this country and province organizations in Canada and organizations in Latin America to be here for them to say, hey, we had this law that came across the governor's office and it challenges chiropractic's scope or whatever, right? And bam, we're there. We're helping. We're getting the word out. We're helping organize. Maybe it's donating money, whatever it might be. And so we're being more involved in that way. And we're getting more involved with the students, which is the future of chiropractic. So we really want to be more involved there as an organization. And with the diplomate programs and the councils, we want to provide opportunities for principal chiropractors to further that education, to specialize, to get to that next level, because frankly, there's not a lot of opportunities for them within the realm of principal chiropractic to continue that and to become the best of the best. For example, we have the upper cervical council that we're working on, the upper cervical diplomate. We have a philosophy diplomate. There's an animal chiropractic diplomate because, hey, animals deserve to be adjusted too. And so we're working on building out these next levels for people to take themselves to the next level. Mm-hmm. Because we as an organization are trying to go to the next level. We're trying to take this profession to the next organization. Mm-hmm. To the next level. Sorry, to the next level.
It's all good. I appreciate your enthusiasm, and it's really exciting. Like you said, when you get some younger energy, asking new questions and approaching it from a different angle, and using lateral thinking and divergent thinking to really see different connections that could be made that have never really been made before, and just see the magic of what's possible when new connections are made. So I really
absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate this pre-chiro conversation. It's very relevant to the pre-chiro student. There's a lot to be excited about in the future of chiropractic, and there's a lot of infrastructure that's being created to support students and make them realize that we give a shit, and that we know how challenging and difficult it was for us with the lack of infrastructure, and we don't want to see that happen for the next generation, right? So
absolutely. I love it. Yep. We're here to make your path as easy as possible. I got to where I am by people helping me, and I am excited to turn around, reach back, and help lift up that next person, that next doc, that next generation of chiropractors, because it's a whole hell of a lot easier to make a big impact in this world when we're working together and lifting each other up.
Mm-hmm. Great message. Great message. Yeah, and I'll just say as a last touching moment that there's been a lot of discussion that I've had with older chiropractors who have been on the front lines for years, who are tired, and they're also, quite frankly, I don't want to say giving up on the hope that this profession would return to its roots, or that it would stay true to what it was designed to become and be for the planet. And I'm there, and I'm giving them that little spark that's got them back in the game and back in the mindset that I can contribute. It's not too late. The new students, the new graduates, the practicing chiropractors that have been in practice for years now still have energy. and still want to see chiropractic reach the people. So, you know, chiropractic's for the people. It's not for the profession, so to speak. So anyway, just touching on
Absolutely.
that.
No, you're absolutely right. And they've fought a hell of a battle. They've endured a lot. And so if we can help our next generation of chiropractors endure less, well, that's how momentum is built, and that is how we make an impact.
Hmm. Tipping point is coming.
Yes, absolutely.